mark in the count. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday on my part of the world. And for our guests today, we've got the Chamba and in a different part of the world. You're in the future?
Yes. Good morning. Good morning on a Monday.
And can you share with the folks where you're at?
I reside in Melbourne, Australia. It is Monday, 9:32 a.m.
I was telling you that I was on a stream way too late last night, and there was somebody there from the West Coast. Are there different time zones in Australia, or is it all one shared time zone?
It is different. It is different time zones.
It is different.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was fun. So welcome to the Brick Something channel, man. I really appreciate it. I've been hanging out with you guys on your stream, or just in the chat, and being a chat migo, starting as a hush migo, and then a chat migo, and then jumping on the Discord. And it's been great. It's been great being there, learning all sorts of stuff from you guys, both how to do sort of this thing and just kind of loving your vibe, but just hearing all the great toy talk. So I'm super happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we're going to look at some Needless Ephemera together. So the folks who are maybe new or unfamiliar, it's called the news, but it's sort of not really the news. It's Needless Ephemera We Saw, because sometimes I just want to talk about other dorky things that may be old.
I feel you.
Yeah. And that's part of our that's actually part of, people ask about all the acronyms and stuff. I've always said it's actually kind of in our blood. So Pinoy over here, Filipino, and I've been to the Philippines, and they do all sorts of fun acronyms, and
they love it. They love it.
Mixing with letters and stuff. So all about that, and that's where that comes from. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and say hello to the folks first who are here. NYC Figure Fanatic has been in there for days, so wake up now. We're going to start. But he's had that comment in there. No sleep till Mamba. Yeah, that was something that, as folks know, I've been helping out with the Awok sort of like press tour, and I couldn't help but go back to the Beastie Boys. No Sleep Till Brooklyn. That was them like writing that song, and they're just like, they're looking at their tour schedule, and they're like, holy crap, this is wild. We're just not going to sleep till we get back home to Brooklyn. And that's how, when I was laying out those dates of streams and stuff, I was like, yep, that's what we're going to do. No sleep till we unlock General Mamba. And as we revealed today, just a little bit ago, kind of lied. It's actually no sleep till two more figures after Mamba. So
oh no.
Oh no. Oh yes, there's a hippo and a rhino in play. Yeah. And of course, Mythic Dolphin 100% knows that. And in fact, here's Mythic Dolphin's great ideas. Let me go and put them there, because Tiffany's great about letting us know what we need to be doing. Rest assured, we are doing our best, and your help has been instrumental. So Rick Jones, what's going on? Hope everything's good in the South Bay. We've got Game Quest here. Hello. Yes. Evening all. The news is up. We have Rick Jones specifically saying, what's up, Chamba?
Yo.
We got Thanos. Again, Thanos, thanks in advance for helping out, dropping those links in there. Appreciate you so much. We've got Ray Paz. What's going on? Orale Paz. We've got... First off, I got to highlight this just because, damn it, we need elephants and bunnies in our lives. Quip, what's going on? It's been a minute. Quip. Quip is actually up now in the Discord a lot too.
Which is great.
Yeah. In the ToyMigos Discord, folks, if you're not there, you really ought to. It's a great community. I'm loving it. Been loving it. Let's see. Sinapa Kenmas. KJ Smith, hello to you, sir. Highly posable. Steph, Orc S, hello. Joe Gonsalves, missed you last night on Oz's, and congrats to you, because that means you slept and I did not. We went 7.5 hours yesterday on the Ostradamus Toys channel.
Wild.
pretending that we're younger than we are. Okay. So thank you all for stopping in. Most people are pretty familiar, but what we do here is we talk about a bunch of random stuff on the bottom, though, because, you know, like this is the way my brain works. I like to have things accessible. I'm a visual person too. So down there, you'll see, like, if you want to follow along during the live stream or after and replay. Actually, if you're here in the live stream, Thanos got you. He'll drop in the links. If you are watching in the replay, just go to that URL there or the QR code over on the bottom left side of Chamba's face. And you can check that stuff out. Okay, because that's what I'm about. And again, I'll do another push for this later. The ToyMigos Discord, I should put that as a link. Dude, I was just telling Chamba before that this guy, because of his position globally and the times that maybe he sleeps and doesn't sleep, he's constantly posting all sorts of information and news, stuff that I don't think ever actually makes it sometimes to social media. Sometimes they're just, yeah. And so,
rare, like, you know, usually it takes a bit of time to get up there, but if I see it like on some of the sites that I'll just throw it up there with whatever information I've got available.
It's beautiful, right? It's great. So check it out. And what I really appreciate about the Migos is that the ToyMigos is that it's like, it's truly a diverse kind of like group of toys and stuff that you talk about. So I say toys, all sorts of toy brands, import, domestic, indie, you know, corporate, whatever, all of that stuff. And then there's the snacks conversations, there's Disneyland conversations, there's the questioning facts versus what do they call it? The Mandela effect conversation.
Mandela effect, that's Ernie's for sure. Ernie's department.
So, love the community, so definitely check that out. Okay, so that's that. We sort of start in, we're going to move us over here. And then we are going to go talk about the stuff that we have seen. So again, this is just the random stuff in the world. Actually, let me start off, as I sort of already hinted at, talking a little bit about the Awok sort of mini tour thing that's been going on. So been helping with this, and just wanted to let people know the last couple of weeks we've been moving around to different streams. Actually, there was a ToyMigos stream pretty early, and then this is the list of that first week. And then here it is. I'll leave it up here for people maybe who want to rewind, but I got you even if you're not catching it right now, and some of them are being covered up. But I do want to stop here for a second because this is this week. And so after this, myself, Adam, Jason are going to pop into the Geek Dad live stream for just a little quick update because those guys were there at the start of this conversation. And we're just going to kind of update because there's been a lot added to the Kickstarter in terms of unlocks and reveals. So we're going to do that quickly. And then tomorrow, Kato's, you don't want to miss this, as we shared earlier on the stream, we're going to reveal the alternate heads for the female figures for Jadu and Mala. And I'll just say, like, it kind of blew me away this weekend when I got shots, photos thrown into a group thread, and I was like, what am I looking at? And I'm pretty sure everyone here will have the same reaction. So check that out over on Kato's Collection tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Sorry, you can do the time conversion for Eastern Australia. Then over on Berserk, Jurassic Jesse, and Toy Box of Doom Drew's new venture, the collection Nexus, at 8 p.m. Jason will be sitting down with those guys talking about his collecting past, present, and future. Nice. Then this Thursday, we've got locked in with Mad Hatter, who also has now become a toy maker himself on the heels of his successful Flipor. And then Sunday will be over on Ken Toy Connections in the morning, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. I will tell you right now, there are other streams in the works that I just wanted to put the ones that were confirmed and locked in. And so just keep an eye out. And the best probable place right now is to go to my channel and check out the community tab where all those things are, as well as direct links to all the streams. Jason got to hang out with we got to talk with Mega J again. Jason got to hang out with Century and Shardamus yesterday. I got to hang out with the Toy Habits folks yesterday. Jason hung out with Wade from Unparalleled. So it was kind of cool to kind of see these creators. I really wanted to make that one happen, especially because they could talk about their their hairy figures and what it's like to do. So that was cool. So just want to update folks. I know you're probably off. You've been paying attention to this channel. Like, okay, we're done with the Awok thing. So
it's not done until it's done.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and move on. And let's talk about something that you introduced me to. This thing, Snail Shell Studio Pumpkin Princess. This thing. Well, you tell me. When you saw this, what's going on with this thing?
So Snail Shell is a Chinese company that primarily focus on the waifu department, which is basically just female figures. They do a lot of the female articulated figures. They've got a couple of other ones, but primarily the focus is of the female variety. Waifu is the term, basically. And a lot of it is based off of individual artists' work. So sometimes the style does differ from figure to figure. It's because of that reason. The prototype for this was shown sometime, I believe, last year, maybe even the year before. I don't remember. I think the concept sketches may have been the year before, but last year was definitely the grayscale prototypes and then the colored prototypes. But this is the one that is currently up for pre-order right now. I think it's scheduled for Q4 this year.
Do you know who the artist is? Like,
I don't.
Is this like a known artist or not necessarily?
It's a lot of them is just a lot of them are internet artists. They've done illustrations for other things, but I'm not specifically sure of which ones they are because they've worked with so many. I think I do follow them on Twitter, but yeah, there's a lot.
I think this thing's epic because it's the character herself, the actual sort of humanoid character, but then this mech thing,
pumpkin
so
spider mech,
she's great. Let me go back. Where's the spider? There it is. So and the interaction of the two, which is what I love.
Yeah.
Do you have a couple of these? You do have a couple of these snails.
I have a lot of them. I've got, I think I'm missing maybe 3 or 4, depending, because early on they started off very, very niche, and they've got a few exclusive versions which I did not acquire because I don't feel like I need to acquire like a color variant for just such an exceedingly high price. I mean, like it would be nice to have a color variant, but I'm like, when it's triple digits, I'm like, I'm good. I don't need that, especially like when I was only okay with the base body, if that makes sense. On some of them.
Yeah.
If I would like truly love the base body, and it's like okay, then I'd be more inclined. But thankfully, if I can hold off on paying for those exclusive, I can put that money into something that's completely brand new, like this one.
This is amazing. Yeah, I'm just looking at the interaction. She's got another figure in the hand of that mech. It's so cool that those things can totally grasp. Yeah, I don't know. Have they done mechs like this too? Because they had like vehicles I'd seen before, right?
They've shown off a couple of prototypes with, I think it was 1/24 scale vehicles. But that's with a collaboration with I think it was something Bird Studio. I'm forgetting their name right now.
Okay.
It's early. Firebird Studio. They'd collaborated with them for a few things. But this is the first of this, really. They have on pre-order already this like futuristic hover motorcycle thing.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's not out yet. And that's kind of one of the only things that's vehicle-wise. But this is kind of their first mech thing. One of their previous releases was like a cybernetic centaur girl.
I remember that one.
Yeah. So I guess, they've dabbled into technical aspects like that, but this is the first of a mech that's somewhat rideable but also wearable at the same time. It's interesting.
What about Milk Tea Girl? I'm not remembering that one.
Milk Tea Girl is a previous release of theirs. That's the one that got an exclusive version of her, the one that I was just mentioning earlier.
Okay.
Milk Tea Girl is an earlier release that had a weapons pack, which was a model kit. So it was kind of part figure, part model kit. The figure herself was a figure, and the weapons were something that you'd had to assemble. But that was maybe last year sometime, the year before, possibly. I'm forgetting now.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a decent release. It was a decent release. It lacked certain articulation in certain aspects of it in comparison to the other ones, but visually they're always on. Like, that's the Milk Tea Girl. Visually they're on point. Yes. So there's a variant of her that's got lighter skin and just her outfit's black instead.
Look at this. What is she holding? These they're like. Do they shoot? Oh, they shoot milk tea. Duh, of course.
They're boba guns, basically.
Oh, look at the soft goods. That's cool.
Yeah. Soft goods is something you can acquire on the site as well. So yeah.
Got it. Okay. But yeah, this thing is pretty amazing. Oh, this was the post of just sort of the announcement. It has all the sort of same pictures, but what we were sharing here earlier, this is the pre-order page over on 5K. Again, just because it's convenient, not saying this is the best place for folks to necessarily
It's a great site to go to if you live in the United States.
That's what I do.
They don't really work with anything outside, unfortunately. So like if you're in Canada, I think if you're in Canada, it's not too bad. But I know if you live in Australia, they will, you'll have to send it through proxy. But there's so many other means of acquiring these releases, so it's not even a big fuss.
Are these all face plates or alternate heads? These are plates.
They are face plates. And the beauty about them is, I think from the earlier series, it's articulated eyes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They've got
there's a cutout on the plate.
Yeah, but it's some of the best that I've seen because it seems seamless. Because sometimes you can tell when an eye is not part of the actual faceplate. But here it's they've done such a really good job, and you can get so much more from it because of the articulated eyes. So
yeah,
the number of faceplates this one has is also really good,
and then just the expressions are great. I mean, it's it's anime, and that's what I've always loved, sort of the quick changes of the face. And but anyway, and I love all this promo stuff, like the work to put these things in that I guess probably end up in different hobby magazines somewhere, but like really highlights everything, eat or die, and sort of showing the different accessories and stuff. So cool. I wish more domestics would kind of do this and make it easier for us to get excited about some of these things, and really spell everything out. So it's cool.
Carving out a niche.
Yeah. Anyway, that's amazing. That is Snail Shell. It looks like folks are making observations and responding. So yeah, it's cool toy, cool designs, and let's check out some other cool toys and cool designs. This one, I know this is one that has been talked a lot about on the Discord too. This is unlicensed, right? Of the Pit. Of course,
1000% unlicensed.
Yeah, of course it is. I forgot because I put it in the thing. It's not the Pit. Sorry.
It's not the Pit. It's the Devil.
Yeah. Deluxe devil. Gray Devil and Deluxe Red. And regular and Deluxe. What's a trip is that the game is so fascinating. Because right now, of course, here in the States, we've got like, Mattel, Jada, well, before Jada, Mattel, Hasbro, like these big ones. And then there's smaller ones, NECA, Jada, etc. And then there's indies. And then like, there's all these massive influx seemingly out of nowhere and so rapid, of like, hey, this company's doing this. And we get things like this, these unlicensed, homages, I guess, or
fan art. I call it fan art. Okay, it's third party.
Fan art,
third party.
Yeah. But the Pit, which is, I'm trying to remember. I remember
it's a 90s.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember
Toybiz.
Oh,
Toybiz made one. Yeah. It was under the Legendary Heroes.
Okay.
They did it. Once they I think it was late 90s. Toybiz kind of lost the Marvel license and they started tackling a bunch of other comic book superheroes.
Did they do a Savage
And
Dragon at that same time?
They
Is
did.
that
There
what
was
I'm
like 2
remembering?
variants for Savage
got it.
Dragon. There was one with
Yeah.
like a tank top, and the other one that was kind of topless.
Yeah.
The Pit was part of Wave 1. It was a Build-A-Figure.
Okay.
I have it up there somewhere.
Oh, do
on
you?
my display. Yeah.
So, but it's been a
And
while.
It's been a while. And honestly, I think that one still holds up.
Okay.
Like this one, I think it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
They got away with the whole third-party aspect. If you look at his face, they added this like skull feature, which I actually don't like.
And the eyes and nose.
The eyes and nose are pretty on point. It's the nose primarily. They've got like the skull aspect in the nose where they've kind of, you see there. Yeah, that's not Pitt's nose.
Yep.
So I'm like, that's their way of making it the devil, I guess, right? But it looks good. It looks good.
Sorry. Yeah, that's their way of making it the devil. It's the nose. The nose makes it the devil.
Exactly.
It's a great looking body, and it's Axie Toys. Is that right?
Axie Toys. Yes,
so
it's the same ones that made those dinosaurs, those big buff dinosaurs.
So they've definitely like made their mark in terms of these oversized, huge muscular figures with the butterfly and everything. I actually haven't. Have you gotten your hands on any of their stuff? Like
I've not yet.
Kind
of as cool as they look. I just have to always try to pinpoint certain things in my collection. It's just,
of course,
I mean, we can't get everything, unfortunately. I'd love to be able to, but then it's like space, and then what do I do with it, right?
Yep.
I love to.
Yeah, I've always just wanted to, check it out for science, and I joke about that, but I want to know, like, how they move, how they're constructed,
1000%, how it feels, the plastic, everything.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But look at all this stuff, and that's the other thing with these third parties. They're just like, well, let's just throw a bunch of stuff in, and they're clearly kind of danced around the conversation of licensed versus unlicensed before, but they're not paying for a license, and they're not sitting on the money that they would have spent on a license. They're like, okay, great, let's pack it in with this. So I appreciate that. It's $48 for the regular and $78,
which is crazy.
For the deluxe.
Which is, I think, to me, is crazy because, like, just a blank body, you can pop that head off, make it maybe change your hands, Red Hulk, something like that. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of options you could do with it, but $78 for the fully soft goods version, I think that's great. This thing looks like it's a huge figure as well. Yeah,
embroidered patch.
So much unnecessary aspects of it, but it's not needed. But they threw it there.
On top of that, there's this piece too, where there's a sort of I'm a DIY toys. So I don't know what that means.
It's not them, company. But it's probably them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, no, I do.
Usually,
and
how
it confuses the hell out of everyone.
Yes,
but yes. And so now this is DIY toys, and to speak to what you're saying about the skull. Like this one doesn't have that, so this
Pitt's heads.
This reminds me more of this character, called the Pitt.
Right, exactly.
But if you want to take legal action, you go after DIY toys, and then this product might get stopped, but you could still have the other one. Oh, it's wild. So the links to the pre-order pages are, if you wanted to again go through 5K just to make it a little easier, and folks can Google for other options. But for the regular gray, the full price is going to be $48 plus shipping. I'm in California. They 5K ships out of I forget what city, but it's down by the South Bay area, and it's crazy how low their shipping is. I'm not used to it, actually. So it's probably going to differ if you're in the East Coast or somewhere else or up in Canada, or definitely.
I'm curious about this one, like due to the size and the weight, maybe. I'm curious how the shipping will total.
That's true, but so I was just talking about this was my first 5K toys order was the wolves from D20, and it's a big old box.
Yeah, those are hefty.
And I want to say it shipped for like 12 at the time.
That's
on
not
top
bad
of
at
what
all.
I paid.
Yeah,
so yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah,
I was really, really surprised. So who knows? And then if you wanted the deluxe with all the soft goods and the chains and stuff, it's $78, and there's a deposit, and then you just fill it in. But anyway, yeah, it's wild. And if you wanted the heads to be a naughty person and have a PITT figure, it's $15.
Well, the red one is technically not PITT because he was never red, right?
True.
He was always gray.
Yeah, it's
that
amazing.
One's the devil.
All right, moving on. Well, actually, I'm curious. What do folks? Is this? Do folks know PITT? Yeah, it's a great price. That loose collector hide, which is another gigantic muscular figure, was 100. Loose collector tends to their prices are definitely a little on the pricier side. That's just how they need to run it. Ray says that nasal cavity on the original is weird. They should have given a plug, but then that's where the DIY maybe head goes if you're looking for that.
The original one actually comes with this like metal mask.
Oh.
I'm not sure if you saw some of the photos, but they have this metal mask to kind of counter that, and it looks neat. It makes it less the PITT, I suppose, but yeah. But no, this DIY head it's kind of a must.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, I'm with you on this. We can't buy everything, and so you're smart to kind of look ahead and realize that some things are going to be coming soon. It's true. The Brutal Realm Kickstarter will be coming out soon, and I know there's so many things. Hey, what's up? Dorlaxon's here. Oz is loving the PITT, and Ed, what's going on, man? Good to see you. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to, okay, speaking of loose collector. Shared this in the Discord early in the morning because I saw it this morning, and I actually don't have any loose collectors. I've been following it. Cool designer out of the Philippines, started as a customizer that everyone knew, and then was working with executive replicas. And then it seems like now, I don't know if that relationship's there or what, but they started with a lot of women action figures. And released a bunch of characters that I never thought we'd get. And then they even did a Darna. Are you familiar at all with Darna?
Yes, I am. That's really cool.
So I don't know if you're like, so Darna's a character from the Philippines, and it was so cool to see that. And then Trece, which was Trece was on Netflix, kind of a cool like supernatural hunter type thing, but in the Philippines.
I think it was good.
Yeah, I did too. But they did those kind of characters that seem to all kind of be on this buck. And then they opened up with that hide character that Ray was referencing earlier. And then now this. And so I'm still sitting on this Veteran Williams that came out from Maestro that's still unboxed. But, I got the white variant.
Oh, nice. On the chainsaw.
Yep, the chainsaw, and you can take off all the clothes because I wanted a cool wolf, and then this comes out. I was like, damn it. So I'll have, that's funny. You saw the wolf, you saw the werewolf, and then this guy. And what I liked about this video last night that dropped is it's kind of like the product. It's meant to be a product test. So here's I love this. And, because this is some of the big questions when it comes to these gigantic figures, and
can hold, right?
And all those joints on the legs, right? I forget what those are called for animals where their calves kind of go back in their feet. But are they going to be strong enough? I love this like shake test, and they're still standing. And as goofy as it seems, like for me, especially when it comes to these bigger figures, it's good to know, and it makes me feel good, right?
100%, yeah.
See that movement, like we're always wondering, like you guys on ToyMigos and watching, just like I wonder how that's going to move. I wonder how that's.
I'm all about range, range and articulation.
Shoulders.
I'm curious, like I wanted him to push how far I can look up though. That was my main thing, because like it's a wolf. I want to see if you can get him on fours.
Yes.
And if you get him on fours, you need to look up, right? As in, so you can look forward.
Forward. Yep.
Exactly. So I was curious about that, and I'm sure. Once the actual product gets in a folks' hand, people will start pushing a little bit more. But it's neat to see.
Yeah. So I love the shake test again. GameQuest has it on pre-order yet. So if you're a huge werewolf guy, I'm curious, GameQuest more than one. Did you get the north, east, south, and west? I love that too. That's smart, like built-in repaints, different colors. Let's see.
You can alternate the heads as well.
I did not. I don't think I saw the soft goods coat and pants. Veteran Williams.
I think Kylab might have done some. I forget.
I love Kylab soft goods.
Yeah.
Man.
Top quality.
Rick Jones is announcing to the world that Veteran Williams is radical and that he prefers Veteran Williams naked. Let it be known. State your preferences.
Nude
I'm with
Veteran
you.
William.
I prefer them nude too, so I'm right there with you, man. You're not alone.
There you go.
I collected the PITT when they came out, and barely worth any. Whatever, it's worth whatever's in your heart, Dorlax. And
exactly.
Neil, is that Neil? No, Vivian. Sorry, the young ones. I don't know if that's a reference people know. His thumbnail. And all right. Obi-Wan Chingones, ¿qué pasó?
Hola.
Hey, Brick and Chamba, love the addition of these test videos. Me too, man. It gives me a solid sense. And, you know, I'm sure a lot of folks are like, a lot of toy companies maybe don't want to do this kind of thing. I don't know. But if you know we can handle it, share it. Like, let us know. Help us all feel good about what we're going to get, you know? But Chamba's right. Show us the full range of movement. It's so funny. It's like the review before the review. The
kind
review
of,
video.
just to see what we're going to get, you know?
Yeah.
Because it'll probably entice more people.
Yeah. And yeah, especially for a company like this who might not, a lot of people might not be familiar, so they won't know what they're getting. And like, frankly, like there's some of the women figures, there's been issues with them standing up and parts, you know, joints being loose. So
QC,
show us this.
breakage. Yeah. We need to see something like
great.
this.
Vivian. Oi. Man, it's jumping on me. But yes. All right. I found the Fright feature Winston and Turtles of Grayskull Donnie today at Target. The Fright features Winston Ghostbusters. Congratulations. Well done on the hunting. And I agree, Ray. It's good to share this stuff because definitely we get the feedback, and you know, I'm sure people are wonderful in the comments section. All right, moving on from the wolves. Let's spend some time here, and also for Thanos, because Thanos is a huge Berserk fan. Schierke, which I see on pre-order at least through Hobby Genki, is now gone. So I wanted to ask you about that. Does that mean other places might have it? Is there any chance for people to potentially get this? How does that work?
Honestly, with like releases like this, once the pre-orders get sold out, there's still a chance to acquire it once it's actually out.
Okay.
So if you can't find a pre-order right now, just wait until it's out. Or honestly, a lot of people tend to forget about Amazon Japan. Amazon Japan, I keep saying it in the Discord. Amazon Japan is a really good website to acquire these releases. The prices aren't crazy. They're pretty much retail prices. See, there you go. It's still up on both of those.
Yeah.
BBTS, I don't know, man. I know people in the United States prefer it because of the shipping and stuff, but sometimes you end up paying more and still getting it later.
A lot later, yeah, sometimes.
A lot later, but you're still sometimes paying more, if not roughly the same.
Yep.
If you can, just try to get it from an import site because you're gonna get it quicker. There's positives obviously about BBTS, which is all cancellation, the whole returning and stuff, I think. But yeah, there really shouldn't be too much issue with a lot of these releases.
I love this figure. Right when we saw, like, aside from the Berserk, you know, just the value of having this figure in plastic form now, the poses on this thing, the overall look of this thing, the bright colors of the purple and the blue, and the way they pose her up with that cloak too is
love it,
selling it. You know, I haven't paid attention to is this skirt kind of a loose piece, and there's a full everything going on.
She's got articulated legs underneath. Okay. I'm curious what type of, because
there they are.
SH Figure Arts tend to experiment with the plastics that they use, and she does have the slits on the side, but I'm curious how pliable the plastic is, because I've got the Mashal figures, right, and they've got their coats aren't soft goods. They're it's like a soft plastic, and they move freely around. So I'm curious what type they used here, and it varies all the time. It's not as soft as, say, the reused gi on the Jada figure, but it's quite soft, and it's quite soft still. So I'm just curious what it is. It doesn't hinder too much of the articulation. It's not like, although you won't be able to like get her sitting down or anything. But I'm trying to think, like, she doesn't really have any action poses where she is sitting down. That makes sense.
But they've got like what I appreciate about the figure arts is like and a lot of it is because of the nature of the medium that they're translating from anime or manga. Very visual, very dynamic poses and expressive. So they like take that into consideration, and it's almost like they design with these poses in mind, right? And they're like, okay, one, she has to have her face closed. Sometimes they'll give you extra parts just to be able to pull off certain poses.
Yeah. Swap outs,
I wish,
for sure. They do that all the time.
yeah, I wish we had that in a lot of these lines. And I think as the play patterns change with collectors and photography becomes more of a thing and people are posing things up, maybe here in the US we'll start to get some of that kind of thing. But it's so cool. Like,
yeah.
Do they have any shots of her without her? This one I love. Does she have any shots of without the hat, or is the hat always on?
The hat is pretty much on.
Okay.
Like, if I'm trying to think of like certain scenes in the manga, I'm like, does she even take her hat off? It's primarily on. But if I were to display it, I'd have wanted to display it with the hat, if that makes sense.
That's true. No, totally.
It's kind of a look.
Yep. The witch in training.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really great looking. And I just clearly when they make these things, their interest is to imitate and replicate the entertainment, the comic. And so on that note, right, so we've got this form of her on the Berserk figure and the Guts figure, or the armor. This is cool. Do we know how like articulated this thing is, or what the deal
probably
is?
Won't be.
Just
it
like
probably won't be. Yeah, it might be like a articulated head possibly, but even then that doesn't bother me at all. This could have been a statue and I would have been perfectly fine with it.
Yeah. Oh God, it's so amazing. Yeah, clearly Thanos is hyped. I know this is a big property for Thanos. It's cool stuff. Yeah, I am kind of curious too about the soft goods for the skirt, but most of their stuff isn't necessary.
They don't really do that.
Yeah.
The only time they've ever done like a soft goods skirt is for like a Shikocha Seiho, which is their SH plus.
Did you say plus?
So, yeah, it's kind of like their focused line. Their focused line, mainly for like Kamen Riders and stuff like that. But they rarely do soft goods skirt.
Yeah. It is cool. Like again, they think about the character, they think about important moments to people who love this property, and then they're kind of like, we're going to include that. So I love that they have this astral projection, and she's cool. But they're not cheap figures too for folks. This is the other piece that I love, the little golem.
Yeah, the golem was a nice addition that I was not expecting. I was like, that's cool.
And
because I was hoping for the astral form. They might. I was only expecting the astral form because it didn't come with the Berserker armor, and I was like, no, they're gonna throw it in with her. They gotta. And yeah, this was a fun little addition to that I was not expecting.
Yeah, you could really just pose it up. Yeah, well done. I love it, and it just speaks to different. Oh, there you go. Here we go. There we go.
Perfect.
I love that.
She looks great. She looks great.
Yeah, she really does. Great choice in fabric too on that cape, and the matching is fantastic. That's cool, man. That's great. Yes, Schierke. Let's shift a little to the domestic figures. Big Legions, Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions, figure Obscura fan.
I'll quickly be right back. I gotta.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just quickly.
All good. He's if you didn't know and you don't watch the ToyMigos, apparently he's imprisoned, and so sometimes the guards need to check in on him, and do so that's what's happening there. And I love Mythic Legions, as folks know who are familiar with the channel. This November, I believe, will be I think I'm actually committing to heading out to Legions Con, which is awesome. Legions Con being the con of the brands and the studio for Horsemen. So I'm excited about that. And so that happens in November. And they will often have, they'll always have exclusive figures to the con. They're generally like exclusive versions of figures that do get released later, but with some extra parts. And they do them by the days of the con. So this is the day one exclusive figure for Legions Con 2024. I should say day one exclusive figures, because you're getting these two figures. and it's Gaspar and we'll actually go through each of them. Gaspar the Unamused and Garich the Unpredictable. And I know you're familiar in general with them, but do you follow, like, to know the backgrounds of these characters? Have you guys talked about that yet? No.
We don't really, like, honestly, I get lost in the names in general as well.
Yes.
There's too many to go by, and I appreciate, like, I think they're sculpted incredibly well. I'm just so, in a way, I'm glad that I'm not into the line, because there's so many things to collect these days. But no, it's just difficult.
I'm in that hole for sure, but I try my best, and I'm not, like, complete at all. I sort of pick and choose. But the thing with Legions is, they've been around. This is their 10th year anniversary of Mythic Legions, and 25 years of the studio. And so for a while, like, it was like you could almost get a sense of, okay, I get it. They've got skeletons, they've got knights, they've got elves, they've got dwarves. And for a little bit there, it was like, okay, I get it. High fantasy, that's where we're at. But then these last couple of waves have really been like, oh, actually, check this out. Check out this species. We've got a genie, a djinn. We've got a giant blue dragonoid human, whatever, humanoid thing.
That one's cool.
Like, and then, oh, by the way, we're also doing cosmic. But my point with that is, like, with these, like, I keep thinking, like, oh no, I'm cool. I'm going to, like, chill out. I'm going to get less. And then the last wave, they're like, here's a bear. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm not really chilling out. And then they do these. And I'm like, I've been wanting more, like, stuff from the East. And they did a influence on real world East.
Yes.
So doing this more like Hindu monk, or, like, maybe even like a Kung Fu Shaolin type monk style. And I'm just like, cool. And working that in with their fantastic line, right? So it started for me, and got super excited to see this happening for the line with that Sun Wukong that they did.
Yeah, that was nice. The sculpt on that one was brilliant.
Yeah.
It would have got me too, but I was like, because I know how they articulate, and I'm like, in my mind, Sun Wukong needs to be able to really move like a monkey. And I was like, that's not going to hit these poses that I'm gonna want it to do.
You're right.
It's gonna look fantastic and sculpt and everything else, and the paint job. And I'm just like, but if it can't hit the pose, then it's not really doing it completely for me.
Yeah, I 100% get that.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't saying that was my first figure, but so I've been in it for a while, but that was the first time that I saw that the studio was looking to go beyond what I think traditionally people think of as high fantasy. Because, so you're absolutely right in terms of articulation. For me, I look at Mythic Legions and Four Horsemen. It's like sculpt, paint, like top notch. Like, I know what I'm going to get. It's high quality. But I also know you're right. Like, I think it's fair and accurate to say that they're not the most posable, most articulated figures. And a lot of that has to do with the buck design, because what you do get is this. So in these exclusive figures, you'll notice all these parts, like, they excel with the notion of, like, with the pop and swap, right? You can switch things out. Like, as you can tell, like, and the name Brick Something comes from Lego. I'm a big fan of the building and creating and the customizing in easy ways, right? Not like, so it's like they build that in here and they give you all these parts. So when they came out with the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, it was like, oh crap, they're building in these sort of Eastern influenced armors and soft goods into the line, which then gives them full play of what they can do. So that's the weird thing. On the one hand, I'll get something like the Noda Sun Wukong to get those Kung Fu poses. But then for this, it's like, oh, I just kind of want to look at it and mix in. And so it's kind of cool.
It's neat for sure.
So the backstory, all that to say is they're named Garich and Gaspar because the two employees from Four Horsemen who do the Wednesday live stream. They're sort of like they help out with, I don't know what their official jobs are. I think there's some marketing work in there, but also shipping. These are actually based on two. They are truly characters. Two folks that work there. The last name being Gaspar and Chris Garich. So it's kind of cool how they do that too. A lot of their figures are sort of tributes to people in the community or people from the company, and the personalities are there. So when they say like Garich the Unpredictable, Chris is like highly unpredictable. You watch a stream, you have half the time you don't know where he's going, what he's trying to say, and then they'll switch gears and whatever. Some weird outfit will be here. And so in that, like they work that into the character's story. Another thing that I appreciate about these figures, there's always sort of like story involved that drives the designs. So the costumes, like I sort of hinted at, the switching up of costumes, or maybe the interest in, say, I don't know, certain bounty hunters, that then gets worked into the figure. And what's neat is you get this 2-pack or these figures, and you've got all these extra parts to kind of play around with and build characters. And so I was excited to see these reveals. This is the Gaspar. This one's my favorite, again, because I want more of these types of characters and different things in their little world. So any reactions to these characters or figures?
I think they're cool. I mean, the whole Four Horsemen releases, I love the, like you mentioned, the modular aspect, because it is a pop and swap type thing.
Yep.
You can basically like find little parts that you'd like and just create your own. And I think that aspect alone is fantastic. It's just, though, it's like, because of that, now you've got so many options. It's like, all right, I'd have to acquire more things to make more things. And I'm like, that's just, it's more of a hole. It's more of a hole to get into. And I'm like, man, I'm so glad I'm like, and I'm fairly focused with what I'm collecting. And even then it feels like it's overwhelming. I'm like, I'm glad I'm not branching out even into more things where that would just, I'd be buried underneath it in the end. And it's just too much, but they look great. Like the photos as well, sell it so
well. That's Trevor 1-6 just
kills it,
killing it with the prototypes too. I know these are not finished figures, and yet he makes them. But like, look at all these little, he does. Look at all these little figures, and then the toy thing again, because the person who this is based on, they're always sort of joking at be at a convention or whatever, and they're selling Four Horsemen stuff, and he'll come home from those conventions with the weirdest, most random toys. So they threw this toy in from the figure Obscura Santa, the Father
That's
Christmas.
cool. That's cool.
Again, to like kind of bring out the character. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I could see you guys, like different Migos, having like a Legion's character. I could kind of see like the sort of things that they would do. But yeah, it's cool.
It looks great.
Yeah, and then the soft goods, all right now being worked on by C. Jessam, and I love their work. So again, I'm a sucker for good textured cloth and stuff. And so the mix of like, this is actually a plastic piece, and good stuff. So yes, I'll be at Legions Con. Yes, I will try my best to get this on day one. If you're not going to Legions Con, or you don't have a way to like connect with folks, and you feel like, oh, I want this figure, you can still get the figure. Sorry, I haven't paid attention to what exactly is exclusive, and maybe people in the chat can help with that. But there is basically 1 or 2 pieces that won't be available in the retail version, is how they do that. Sometimes it's a head, sometimes it's a weapon, sort of just depends.
It's nice that they make it available still.
They do. They do. So, yep, there's that. And then I think the last sort of the scene and toy figure stuff, because there's other stuff a little bit after. And I do want to hear a little bit about you and let folks know about you, because you've got a lot going on besides in addition to the ToyMigos. But let's look at this. This is something that you introduced me to quite a bit, and it started with like early renders. So this is Star Arc Toys, an Eldritch horror, Cthulhu, right? Cthulhu, and they released this again last night, and I appreciate a good stop motion. Where they kind of like, film this thing, but they kind of take it through its paces. I'm going to just skip ahead. I should have done this with that other one too, so I'm not showing the complete video, but just sort of showing you what it's going to look like when you get it in hand. And were you able to see this video yet from the Discord?
I saw a little bit of it. There's another one that I just shared about an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
It's another one where it wasn't like this, where it was a product shot. It was more of like, putting it in next to buildings and stuff, just to show what it actually is. It's pretty neat too. But yeah,
that's awesome.
I've seen this, I think, bits and pieces of this and another one prior to this, but it's nice that they do this. where they'll actually show what you're going to get, and then they'll have it next to other figures just to gauge how tall it's going to be. Because that to me is always a thing. Like they could always add a measurement to something, but you're like, but how tall does it look next to things? So you could say a number, and you're like, you get the rule, and you're like, is it going to be this? And sometimes it's bigger than that. Sometimes it's smaller than that. And you're like, huh. So how are you measuring it? So just throw it next to something that most people might be more familiar with.
Yep.
And that'll really help for sure.
Yep. I am digging what, so like I saw what was posted before, like the still shots and the designs, and was kind of like, and I'll tell you, like when I watched this, there are definitely things in there like, okay, cool. Yeah, I might be more interested in seeing it. Like some of the details here of this sculpt with the arms and the tentacles. And then I didn't realize that he had so many arms. I missed that kind of.
There is a lot going on.
And it's funny because, visually, sometimes there's so much detail, or there's not a ton of like different color blocking. So you might lose some of that stuff. But so it's helpful. And also like, you see that they show you like the textures and the paint work that they're intending. But are these production figures when they're showing this?
I'd imagine this usually would be, because if it was a prototype, you can't do what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like it's most of the time it's like it's tacked on together. There's parts that are glued on. This is a production sample, if anything.
You're right. Yeah. And so here's what I was talking about. Here's a full arm, long sucker of an arm, and the hand, swappable hands and all of that with a ball joint wrist. And then here's another arm sort of tucked in there, as well as these different tentacles. And when I saw that, and it's all fully posable, it's just like, okay, yeah, I think I'm getting closer. Because initially, I think I was even saying on the Discord that the silhouette felt a little like oddly stocky, or just kind of not very expressive either. But then you open them up, you get the arms up, and you're getting some cool things going on.
It can do so, yeah. And it's got it's got that secondary head too, which looks completely different. And you're like, wow, it changes it in a way. So a lot of options with this thing.
So here's this belly part that I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I wonder why it's like articulated or what. And then it turns out that you can pop it off, and like there's this whole like
it's like, what is that? Yeah, you're like,
yeah, I don't know. And I'm trying to go back to my Lovecraft to kind of like, because that stuff is kind of out there, and but I'm sure there's something in there. But either way, it's just rad. Like, look at that.
It's a lot of work in this. They put a lot of work into this.
That's where the joint is. So even if you took it out, it's all black, and it almost looks like a weird eyeball or something. And it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I'm sure, like, I unfortunately don't speak the language, and they might have described it, but look at that. And it moves around. This thing's going to be so much fun. And this is part of what I do here on this stream, is like kind of convince myself sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, I think I do want to get that. Or
it's
alternately,
not gonna be cheap.
It's not. Yeah. Alternately, it's me window shopping. Like, oh, that's cool. I want to obsess over it. Cool. And
I love window shopping. I mean, I think that's fine. We're not spending anything. It's just we still get excited by something, but it's like, oh, you know what? I can still live without it. That's good. You can appreciate it too. So
the wings look great, and at the end of the day, this thing exists. This is what I'm kind of talking about, the toy world that we're like. At what point, I don't know, it's even 10 years ago where you're like, hey, there's going to be giant figures of Cthulhu character, because this is not the only one. There's a bunch of Eldritch horrors that Star Arc is trying to do. It's like, wait, when did that become possible? And to your point earlier, here's the alternate head if you wanted something more sort of defined. I've seen this style. This be a Cthulhu? I don't remember anymore the sort of mythos, but you see that here popping on. Look at that. And then a whole other arm here.
It's just another fun option.
Look at all the cool details on the little suction parts, and to me, this just steps up the game for everybody. I would think, like, if toy collectors and toy buyers start to see some of this stuff and they get their hands on it, then maybe they want a little bit more from some of the other things, or not. But either way, it's amazing that look at that exists. We'll have the option to purchase said thing. Anyway, cool stuff. And then I don't know, did I miss, are there any other pieces? I think that was it. So check that out. That's the Cthulhu thing. And I think at this point, we'll switch gears to, is it story time? Yeah, I think it's sort of story time. We'll do that in a sec. Let me actually check, see how folks have been. Sorry, I've ignored you folks. Cthulhu. Yeah, it's the Eldritch horrors. Let's see. You need those exclusive heads. This was back for the Four Horsemen. Yeah, I hear you. And again, if you're not going, and I keep putting this out there in the universe, I'm going. That's my plan. My first Legions Con ever. But if you're not going, connect with folks, and they will. Lots of people are willing to help. So just consider that. And I agree with you. It is one of the best holes I've ever been in, right next to the probably Animal Warriors of the Kingdom hole, and for me at this time, maybe the Maestro Union hole, but those are all good holes. What's up, Lawrence? Punk with Toys. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, a lot of folks are talking about the Valiant Knight, which is great. So it's true that Four Horsemen aren't sitting on their laurels, right? And they're trying to push it, which is great. They're 10 years into the line. Yes, they have established parts, but they're like, yeah, but we could push it even further, and kind of revisiting their Knight bodies, and that's really, really cool. So the articulation's going up. My favorite thing being the joint on the neck, which gives you what you're sort of talking about, the ability to look back a little bit more. And so that's cool. Game Quest is saying, yeah, it's extra heads and accessories in those exclusives. So definitely do that. And thank you, Austin, for reminding us. I so badly want to get into Four Horsemen stuff. Rakagor, the big blue dragon, will most likely be my first, and I would display him with my incoming Awok. Look at that. Well done. And what's going on, Chris? Thanks for coming by. So there you go. I'm going to spare you the Australian stereotypes and move on. Of course, there's kangaroo comments. Let's see. Oh, thank you for breaking it down. The dwarf head and the legs, and the Atlas head, the painted, the man bun, black-haired head are the exclusives.
That's an exclusive. Nice.
That's 3 pieces. That's a lot compared to some of the other things in the past. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Let's see what's going on. Highly articulated Adam, great to see you. Look at these folks. Yeah, playing to the audience. And as far as Cthulhu, some things are best left explained, like that weird pulsating eyeball looking red thing that you've got sticking out of your forehead, or your belly. Okay. Stories. What was I trying to go with stories? Oh, hey, you, sir, have introduced me to a lot of things, toys, but not just toys, anime, manga, like between just the regular ToyMigos streams where you guys often talk about different things, but also you also have a sort of show on the channel. That's the import show. What's the name of the import show?
Import Migos.
Import Migos, which is cool again, because I think a lot of folks. Why did you end up sort of deciding to pull that out of the main?
The reason why we do that outside of the show is because most times whenever there's like a show in Asia that takes place in Asia, like a convention, we won't be able to tackle or focus on a lot of those reveals during the main shows, during either Chat Migos or during,
because of time.
They're not dolls. Yeah, time-wise. So we were like, we see all the images. I'm sure some people are interested in some of these things which they might not have access to, and let's go talk about it. And like, I mean, we all enjoy in just talking about toys, so what's not fun about that, right? So like seeing upcoming releases and stuff, seeing stuff, new reveals, that's always good. Speculating on whatever they're coming up with next and all that type of stuff. But yeah, usually that's why we were like, let's, we'll do the show outside of the main shows just so that we can focus solely on those imports, really.
So when you do that, they're great, folks, especially if there's a show like the Wonder Fest or whatever. It's like, that's such a deep dive because there's so much, but you guys really sort of break it down.
And even then we can't cover everything. Like there's so many things that, because you know, One Fest, they cover new action figures, but they also cover a couple of new statues, figurines, and we're not major on that. We want articulated joints, so but we'll touch on a lot of those things, and we provide some links to where we actually find these images from. So
I won't tell Lago you said that, but yes.
he knows. I tell him.
So one of the things that I get excited about is like when you guys start talking about stories, like, oh, I've seen that, or like you introduced me to something new. And I don't believe you all introduced me to this, but in the conversations and hearing you talk a little bit about this show. So story time is kind of what I talk about, like, you know, whatever, TV stuff, movies, whatever. It was Delicious in Dungeon.
Oh, Dungeon Meshi,
yeah, Dungeon Meshi. And so I randomly just saw it in Netflix. So I was like, I'm gonna check this out. This looks like right up my alley. And I was so happy when it got brought up at one point. Oh, it was because of, I think, some of the figures that were sort of announced.
Yeah. Good Smile showed off that they're doing the Nendoroids, but they're also showing off that they're doing the Figmas. So we'll probably see them in 2 years or something.
Yeah,
knowing Good Smile's schedule.
But in the meantime, folks, if you haven't seen, it's Dungeon Meshi is the name of the manga and anime, but in the United States, it's Delicious in Dungeon, the localized version.
It's on
Netflix. Yep, it's on Netflix. It's fantastic.
So good.
It's just different. It's absolutely different storytelling, but it's, if you're at all interested in, well, I should say this isn't the only thing, but don't let this turn you off. But if you're at all interested in role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, and the idea of like exploring dungeons, and this totally captures that experience of like a party and building a party and the different roles that people have in the party, whether you're a magic user, a healer. I love how it explores sort of the mechanics of all that. Like, it's super smart. Like, you could tell
it's very well written. You could tell the person that's the creator of it is into it, but also like not just on a surface level. They kind of know, you know. There's another anime too, another manga, Frieren, Journey's End, which
I love
is
Frieren.
Finished now, but that's also like fantasy based.
Yes.
And there's, you know, that genre is kind of killing it right now in anime.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily isekai, because isekai is a really popular genre in anime where, you know, you throw a character from outside the world into a new world. Basically, think of it like Alice in Wonderland. That's isekai. You know,
so Jujutsu Kaisen is sort of like that, yeah?
No, Jujutsu Kaisen, it takes place in our world.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, what was the one where he like goes into like a game world, or like the Blob one? What's the Blob one?
Oh yeah, I turned into a blob. There's a Shangri-La Frontier right now, and Crunchyroll is also isekai, but that's not really isekai because it's more like video game. That one is straight video game.
Got it.
Like, yeah.
So you mentioned Frieren, and that Frieren is similar. It's funny because I always sort of wondered if there was some connection, because some of the characters, like several characters, like could they be related? But very different storytelling. Frieren is like I watch that and I contemplate my life, and
that's basically why it's so good. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's touching stories. They're funny, but you're like, because it's about her, you know, appreciating, because we never think about it. It's like, oh yeah, elves live that long.
Yes. Yeah.
That their measurement of time is completely different from ours. So how does one see life like that? So yeah, but whereas this one, it's like, oh, we're in a dungeon, we have to try and save our sister. It's good.
Yep. Yeah, so I don't want to reveal. That's fine, but I know we're jumping around. But Frieren, I will just say it's definitely one of those. It reminds me of the Highlander, like the TV series for Highlander. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the TV series explored the notion of like, I'm immortal. So what does that mean to have friends and family and fall in love with them? Exactly. Vampire stories do that. So Frieren is like that, but because it's coming from I will just say for US folks, I just think the culture is so different that the thinking about it and the ideas that come about are just really great.
Very, very
so, yeah. And then on this end, this one is, like you said, like we had a party member who was eaten by who we lost. And so the rules and mechanics of how that all works and is just fascinating. And I didn't even reveal the biggest thing. It's called The Delicious in Dungeon because, and you'll see here, it seems that we failed due to our empty stomachs. Because so much of this is about eating. Eat or be eaten. So the notion that this party has, because, you know, you got resources, you got to pay for food and all that. They start to explore eating the different monsters in the dungeon. And there are full-on like culinary moments where it's like,
it's real good, dude.
Yeah, explaining
It's
how
real
to
good, yeah.
butcher the animal, how to prep it properly, how to cook it properly, otherwise you'll get this bitter taste. And it's perfect. And then
it's poison. This one's not. Yeah, it's great.
And then the splash shots of like the food. It's like, oh my god, that's great. And the journey that happens, because of course not everybody's into the idea, and that first sort of couple episodes. So I love it. I highly recommend it. There's 2 trailers here that will be in the links. I don't know. I'm pretty sure folks have Thanos might have shared that. Here you have like a mushroom character
that's great,
gets butchered. Anyway, just wanted to recommend that, and I love being able to chat with you all real briefly, even in different live streams when you guys are talking about that stuff.
It's fantastic. Highly recommend.
And then let's see, is this one? I forget let me check if this is technically story. Oh no, this is, see, I pretend to like have sections, and so let's be all professional. And then let's go ahead and move into, I don't even know if I have it. What's it called? Here we go. Let's talk about viewing pleasure. So aside from that, just weird things on social media. Okay, so this is funny and odd. Let me actually set this up properly. So if I were to tell you, hey guys, I wanted to recommend this channel or this person on Instagram, like, I know. And people will be like, wait, what are you going to do here? What are you going to show us? And trust me, that's not my thing. I get real eye rolly about it, but no, art to the extreme. So Tasha Caroline is a freaking amazing artist who does crazy stuff with makeup. And so she'll start off with her, and then she'll walk you through in about a minute of her transforming herself into someone that you know. So here, let's do Nicolas Cage from Con Air, and like but with makeup, like adding the hair, everything on, and you'll sort of see her go. And I can't really speed it up, but it's fascinating, even just from an artist's perspective. I have a bit of an art background myself too, as does this guy. This guy's amazing. We'll talk about that in a second, but just look at it. If you saw the glue come out to kind of glue down the eyebrows and shape the eyebrows up and then hide everything out. So it's a 3-dimensional medium, but she fully takes advantage of 2D principles of like shading to change the shape of her nose. And it's just fun to sort of see the process of her transforming herself. I was totally like fine art student at one point. Oh, and here I go. I'm forgetting her name. Oh, and maybe Steph, as you're in the channel, you can. Oh, Cindy Sherman was an old fine artist photographer who really kind of explored how women were depicted. Sorry, I missed the punchline, but hopefully you saw the Nick Cage there, and you can kind of see all the different ones that she's got going on. But Cindy Sherman did this thing back in the day of taking portraits as to explore how women are depicted in pop culture. And I feel like this is that continuation of that for like the social media era, and just to show someone's dope skills.
Yeah.
So
that's a skill. That's crazy. That's patience as well. But my goodness, so much work.
It's painting like you would paint, but on your body, but this way in front of a mirror in reverse. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with folks. I appreciate all sorts of art, toys included, but here, this too. So that's it. Just that was it. I hope that was a fun little weird thing. But you know what I really like to do towards the end of everything is focus on the guest. And so, Chamba, you, for the That's What's Up section, this is you on Instagram and your signature hat that you're wearing a version of right now.
Right, yeah, it is a version of.
So you are an artist. I was wondering if you could tell kind of the folks the kind of stuff that you work on currently? What are like just the I guess because it's commissions here. What are you doing?
I do commissions. I work with Udon Entertainment a lot. They make the Street Fighter comic books, a lot of the Capcom licensed stuff. That's what I started off with primarily. That's what I've been doing for a bit. Right now, I've got some stuff going with Udon right now, which we can't really talk about because it's not been announced yet. But yeah, it's just fun stuff. It's kind of a dream to be able to work with the license, the properties that I grew up with. So not something that I would have fathomed as a kid, but yeah, it's rad. And a lot of the stuff that's being shown right now on the screen is just fan art stuff. I post stuff on
so
Patreon.
Fun.
Yeah, it's got to be fun. Like if it's not fun
free.
for me, then I'm not going to do it. Yeah. If
And
it's not fun for me.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Well, I just wanted to, I didn't want to, I do want to stop here because, so the fun thing is you have the freedom to do kind of what you want to do, what you're interested in. So you've got these Dungeons and Dragons and you do this sort of the gender flip, which is fun, right? And it's like, oh yeah, let's see what that would be like.
Yeah.
I love that. And then, you know, you often will just show us the full on breakdown in the process, which I appreciate. Love it. And you're mostly working digital, right? Is this
mostly digital?
Procreate?
It's just, no, I use Clip Studio. Clip Studio Paint on my desktop. Procreate, it's primarily for the iPad. I'm not an iPad user. Yeah, I use an N.E.W.S to draw just on the side, but like a mouse. But yeah, it's primarily on my desktop.
The N.E.W.S, that's a Wacom tablet, but is that the one that you can see the
no
thing
screen
in it? No screen. So you're looking at the.
Yeah, I'm looking at my monitor, and then I'm just.
So it's kind of like the girl with the makeup, but
kind of like there's a disconnect without this. Yeah.
It's cool. I love your work, man. It's so vibrant and so clearly, like influence wise. We were just talking a lot about anime. Like, where would you say? What are the things that come into your art?
I mean, I was a big. I watch a lot of anime. I grew up on anime a lot. Comics as well. That's primarily the things that I like. Cartoons, like cartoons from the 90s, you know, the age that I was growing up in as a kid. And all those things just kind of add up. These days, I don't really read too much American comics anymore, because getting into a story is just, it feels like so much of a challenge. I've liked manga for decades at this point, mainly because it's just easier to follow. You've got one writer writing a story and that's it. Do you know what I mean? Like with comics, it's like, cool, I enjoyed this run, and then all of a sudden a year later it's a different writer, it's a different artist, and they've completely neglected and ignored the previous story, and you're like, all right, I guess I'm not for now. So
this is great, though. I mean, I love the influence that you're sort of bringing in. I definitely see the manga and anime influence.
I love it.
Were you into it all, like street art, particularly like that moment in graffiti art, like I guess the late 90s, early 2000s, where there's just playing with proportions and stuff? Or
I enjoy playing with proportions. I love pushing perspectives. That's the thing that I used to always enjoy doing. As far as pushing proportions,
yeah, you do. Look at that.
Yeah,
and this is hard stuff. Like that's not easy to do, but you're like, let me mess with this foreshortening, and
it's hard to explain because I would just see it in my head, so I'm just going to draw it. But as far as like pushing proportions, I'm fine with that so long as it fits within the world that I'm trying to set. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't want to break the rules. I can bend the rules. If we understand the rules, it's easy to bend them, but I don't want to break them, because once you break them, then you've lost, you know, it's not following its own thing anymore.
Right. So, it's not that character or whatever it is that you're bringing in.
So
that makes sense.
I'll twist things, I'll bend it a little bit, but
I love this.
In the end, so long as it's fun for me.
Yeah, of course it should be. Otherwise, like you're sitting there for curious, time wise, how would you say, like, I don't know, one of the more fleshed out, like that this Captain Planet, which is like every corner is covered. How long would that take you?
Planet one probably took, I don't know, about 2 days. I'm like less. I would say I'm definitely slower now.
Okay.
I'm slower now mainly because my focus is it just jumps everywhere now. Like it's hard for me to just sit down and focus on something. And I can do that at times, but then I'll lose once I lose focus, it's like I'm out. So I gotta get back into it. I'm definitely a lot slower these days. I feel like I don't need to rush anymore. Back when I was younger, you know, I was just constantly like, I need to churn more out. I've got way more ideas. Whereas now I'm like, I think I'm just gonna pace myself a little bit. Unless there's a deadline, that's different. But with these ones, I'm not working to a deadline. It really depends on if I've got a solid idea and I want to get it out there. I'd say added all together, I don't know, between 8 and 12 hours.
Okay.
Maybe more. But this is like, I split it up because I'm working on this, then I'll sketch something else, then I'm reading manga, then I'm watching something, then my mind's all over
jumping
the place.
On a stream.
Yeah,
on a Monday morning.
It is. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
It also depends on how deep I want to get into the piece, because a lot of these pieces, mainly the ones for like Patreon and stuff, because I like sharing. One, it's more reason to have more things to post, is I'll show the process.
Yeah.
But also because of that, I'm going to draw the full body underneath it. Like you see that one character from Captain Planet there.
This one.
Duke Nukem up there, the yellow one, the yellowish green guy, the head. That's on that full piece. You only saw like a little bit of his face, but I drew that whole section of it. Even if
so you're saying even if it's a crop or whatever, you're drawing the whole thing.
I'm drawing not the whole, might not be the whole body, but I'm drawing more of what you're seeing. Yeah. So I can upload it separately like this, but also it's just, and because of that, it takes me longer. Because back in the day, I'd always like, if I'm doing a collage, what you see is all I'm drawing. Whereas now I'm definitely drawing beyond that too. So just
it's
because
crazy.
It's more fun for me.
Digital, right? So I'm clearly older than you, but for like the digital option of drawing didn't really come out till maybe, at least in my brain, till about 94, when the Wacom tablets were like better and Photoshop was better and I had a computer that could work it. But even then it's a challenge, because there was like, this was your surface and I'm like zooming and moving things around. But I think I heard you, I forget when you were talking about this, but talking about how the digital has changed things, including like, because you can zoom in on things on a work that is eventually going to end up digitally. People can zoom in a way that wouldn't necessarily be the case on a comic book. So you're like,
it
changes the game. Yeah,
it does. Because like, I think I mentioned that when I was working on Avengers Tech-On. That was
that's right.
That was the Avengers Tech-On book. I did that one all digitally, and
you're saying you're glad you did.
I'm glad I did, in a way, because normally I'm like, why am I doing all these little details? No one's gonna see it. But then I was like, after the fact, I was like, thank goodness I did, because on the print it looks one way, and on digital it looks how I looked working on it. And because you can zoom into it digitally, it doesn't look like blobs anymore. It looks like you can zoom into it and still see clearly what I was drawing, even though I spent that time working on it. And in print, you might not be able to see it. It was still all there. So I'm like, in a way, okay, I'm glad I did it, but it is a lot more work than I would have normally had to do had I done it, traditionally.
Yep. I hope that makes sense for folks. If you're not, sorry if that's something that's missing, but yeah, it's super. It's different. And I'll tell you, like that, I was talking about the iPad, and I haven't really sat down to draw anything on the iPad necessarily. I often sketch with students or whatever. Drew a student the other day, but it's like, it's fun because now I can actually see what I'm drawing on. So that's different from what I used to. So I'm like, I'm cool. What's also fun is that like I have a ton of tools that I wouldn't have in real life accessible to me, right? Like brushes and whatever, textures. The undo thing is cool and the zooming is cool, but then it's a double-edged sword, right? Because then be working
rely on it.
way. Yeah. Oops. Sorry. I can stupid balloons. Yeah. Not only don't rely on it, but it's like I could work on something forever and be like, no, undo. No, oh, undo.
Yes.
It's like, no, man, just commit.
The whole
Move on.
perfectionist thing. Absolutely.
Yes. But I love your work, like, and it's also just the here we're seeing something that ended up more looking like traditional media, and it's like it's almost like, I don't know, what do you say, you're going for like inks and paints, or even like the final product was definitely like kind of inkish looking, especially on this guy, the pencil strokes almost on this. So I love your variety. Did you go to art school, or like how did that all work?
I did an art course mainly because my parents wanted me to get a degree in something.
And were they cool with you getting a degree in?
Yeah,
art?
they didn't care. They knew that I wasn't going to steer away from what I wanted to do. So they were just like, just get a degree in it at least. And I'm like, I should have gotten a degree on something more practical, something that's outside of the actual field. But I was stupid then. So whatever, what am I going to do?
No, man. No, don't say that. So I tell my students this all the time, and their parents, especially when it comes to art stuff. In my day, I understand a little bit more why people are like, it's a challenge to be in it. It's not practical. But in 2024, things are different. Like, we are such a visual culture now that there is always, there's a need for people. It may not be your dream job, but there's work out there. Same goes for like acting. I remember back in the day, it was like, don't get into that. There's, starving actors. It's so different now. Things are in production constantly in LA. So like a lot of my LA friends are like, he used to be like, oh my God, I'm struggling to find work. Now it's like, I can find work. It's not the most sexy work, but I can find work.
It's work still. Yeah.
Yeah. So things have shifted. I just want to throw that out there because that's part of a thing that I do all the time with students and their families, especially you're starting to say as Asian families really want like get the degree thing. And I don't know. And case in point, I had my brother on here a couple of weeks ago who now works for Disney. He was very much a talented 2D artist and started out with Drew all the time. And, he's doing fine. So, but this is great. And so you got to work now you're working professionally on some properties that were you a Thundercats fan as a kid?
Was. Yeah. I love this as a kid.
Then you got to work on this stuff.
It's always like, to me, that's still to this day, which I'm really glad in, because I know some people, they feel like if they've worked on within the industry long enough, they feel like almost jaded about what they're working on in a way.
Yeah.
I'm still glad that I can still get, excited, hyped about certain projects that I get to work on. Like when this was for the book, it was just the cover, but I'm like, finally I get to take that off my bucket list. Like, that's something I didn't expect. I got to work on some Transformer stuff in the past where I was like, yep, off that list. Street Fighter's obviously one that I'd never even thought about. So I was like, yep. So I always love ticking off these little things. And I know people are like, but what are your real goals? And I'm like, I'm already working on my goal. Like, I wanted to be a comic artist. And it sucks because in a way, because like in terms of the whole art career, an arts-based career, comics it feels like it's the lowest in the pole, but it's underappreciated. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of it gets unnoticed, but I'm like, it sucks that that's what I love. Because, I'm like, dang, I wish I was more into like, animation or something like that, or anything else really. Because I probably would have a better off, but I'm in comics. I love comics. What am I going to do?
That's great. And you do great work. And so you said, I didn't do the insides, but I did the cover.
The covers.
I just wanted it's more like I got to do a cover of
heck yeah. That's where I'm at. It doesn't matter at this point what it is I'm gonna do. I can tick it off my list because there's a lot of things where I'm like, as a kid, you didn't expect to do any I got to do some Turtles covers back in the day. I was like, wicked. That's a pipe dream type stuff. So I'm like, yep. And if I get to work on it more in the future, wicked. But I'm good as where I'm at. I'm great. This is good.
That's great, man. And I know you can only talk about certain things, but this is something that is out now, and this is
just came out.
Yeah, and this is over on Udon 2, and this is your book.
Yes.
creator-owned thing. And so, how does that work? You were working with Udon for a while, and then at what point do they go, "Hey, we want to do something yours"?
It was more so like a few years ago, Udon did this thing called Vent, which was a creator-owned like anthology, like tutorial type thing where it's all creative stuff. Because Udon primarily does licensed properties.
Yeah,
we translate books, we do our own comics based on those properties, merchandise for those things. But a lot of the creators that work there, they might have an idea that they want to do. And for Vent, they're open to it. Like at that point, they're also not having to pay for the license for it because it's our own thing.
True.
And for us, for the creator, it's like, sweet, this is an avenue where we get to actually put something out. So yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have done this, volume 2 a lot sooner. But the thing is, there's work in between. I made this during downtime, essentially. So yeah, the second volume just came out last month. Technically, it's supposed to come out earlier, but printing delays.
So I'm not at all familiar. I'll name that. Is this a collection of just several issues that were once released as issues and then collected?
Never released. It was just released as volumes. So this is volume 2. Volume 1 came out over a decade ago.
Okay.
That's what I mean. Wow. Like the time in between, I was like, because if this is all I'm focusing on, I could release a volume every year. But I don't, what pays are the jobs. That's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
It'd be great if I could focus on this though, but the world doesn't work that way, and I'm okay with that. The fact that I get to do this is more than enough for me. So, yeah.
That's amazing. That's great. Congratulations, man. You're doing your thing. There's this other thing. I mentioned this to you, how I came across this. I forget what I must have been looking for something, like art instruction or whatever. And then this was like, on your Instagram. And then just, oh yeah, let me check this out. And then all of a sudden, I'm going through, learn from the pros. That's cool. Super into it. And I'm like, what's this about? And you kind of like going through and I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then at some point it said the Chamba flash. I was like, wait, was that what? And then, this is something that you contributed to?
Yes. So several years ago, I think I was on either the launch or the book after the launch, but 21 Droids, basically like an online, or it's just a digital format where a bunch of world creators would contribute and focus on particular things, particular aspects. And that was, I contributed to the book as well. So it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. I think I did.
So you're like a featured artist in there, and are there like lessons that you're?
I did like a course that ran, I think, seven online classes.
Oh,
basically.
That's cool.
Yeah. Fleshing out character design and also how I go about it, and I just made up characters for the actual course itself.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. That's really great. And let me make sure that that's in there. Sorry about that. Thank you, Thanos. And then you've got your DeviantArt, and folks can check it out. I'm wondering, you've been on this for a long time, right?
I haven't posted on it in a long time.
Usually we'll say like how long.
Yeah, I haven't posted on DeviantArt in a long time. There you go. I've been a Deviant for 21 years.
Woo! You Deviant for 21 years.
Crazy.
Yeah, I remember this a long time ago. My students were starting to get into it. They introduced me to it, and I was like, okay, that's cool. I used to actually, at one point in my career, was teaching art. So always just sort of exploring, and kids were introducing me to this stuff.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I don't really post there anymore. It's been a while. But I mean, early on, that was kind of the hub in terms of my online artistic growth. I met a lot of my friends now, from overseas, from DeviantArt.
Nice.
I got into Udon from DeviantArt,
from that?
technically. Yeah, essentially, because like I met up, online, just communicating with other artists. Buddy Joing, who worked for Udon. I met him on it. We used to speak on. We used to like do drawing jams on MSN Messenger and stuff back in the day. And from there, that's when it was like, that's when he was like, "Oh, if you're gonna attend," I told him I was gonna attend Comic-Con. San Diego Comic-Con back in 2006. First Comic-Con I ever attended. And he was like, dude, bring your stuff, show it to the editors in the booth. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, just why not? And I was like, all right. So I did, and that's how I got work. So that's I'm thankful for DeviantArt for sure.
That's great.
I haven't just posted on there in a while because it's just once it became too much of a hassle, there's all the categories and sections that you have to click through in order just to upload an image. It just became a pain. And I was like to upload, if you have to go through all these steps just to upload an image, it's like you're making it way too much of a challenge. You're
creating
cutting
obstacles.
time. Yep. Exactly. Those obstacles aren't really helping out. Whereas like Instagram, I just upload the image, boom. Twitter, upload the image, boom. Yeah. But I did love it. It was a community. It did feel like a community.
That's great, man. Yeah, and you can see a lot of the older work. I love seeing like folks' growth over time too, and just the things they chose to focus in on, the types of subject matter, and then all right, then there's a ToyMigos, and I'm sure a lot of folks here are very familiar. I will direct people to there's the regular streams on Monday nights. Is it Monday nights? Tuesdays.
Thursdays. ChatMigos is Tuesdays.
Yeah, Tuesdays.
Thursdays is They're Not Dolls.
Yes. So Tuesdays, ChatMigos, where they'll pick somebody in the community to kind of hang out with, put in the hot seat and play some really horrible music.
It's great music.
while they ask you questions, and then actually here, to give you a sense, I don't know. I'm not sure.
That's the one. That's the one. That's the one.
If that's okay, you say great music, I say,
it's 90s. It feels like it's a 90s video game.
Yeah, totally. Like but so they'll do that on Tuesdays, and they'll kind of run through different news, actual news, like current toy stuff. And then on Thursdays, you'll do the full show with They're Not Dolls, which is what you're seeing here.
Yes.
But I want to point people to, because we're short on time, but if you want to know more about his background and how he maybe joined the ToyMigos, it's just what I really enjoyed the other night. There was the 100th episode of their extras. So if you're a member, you get to do the sort of after party after the main stream. But this one, there was no membership paywall or anything. You just jump in, and that should still be available. I didn't double check.
They're all available. Yeah.
So check this one out, because they break down how they all got involved in ToyMigos and how they, it's really cool. And especially hearing the sort of work over the lockdown. It's kind of interesting to hear how people get together and so I'll send people that way. I love the ToyMigos. No secret about that. It's one of my favorite streams and toy communities. You guys, Plasty said this the other day in the chat, like the amigos part is totally there. Like, so it's fun to kind of watch you all be friends and geek out and be passionate about the things you like, and tease each other and do all that.
Yeah, it's super fun.
And then talk toys, as you said. That should just be fun, and it is. And you'll learn a lot from this guy in particular. I learn all the time, and he'll tell you when shoulders are good and they're not good, when articulation's great. But I'll save that for people. But yeah, man. So I appreciate you coming through. Oh, actually, one more thing. He creates a lot of the merch too, so definitely check out their ToyMigos merch stuff. I've got a crew neck.
Nice.
I technically have two, because the first one he sent me was wonky print. They sent me a second one, and a t-shirt.
Nice. Cool.
But I love it because it's cool. I'm assuming this is yours, right? Your design.
The ToyMigos logo was not mine. That was before I was on, but I definitely had to cut up pieces. I did a lot of the illustrative stuff mainly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like you did tell me that, but I'm old. But I love the logo, dude. The artwork. It's just
do too.
Yeah, it's kinetic.
It's clean. Yep.
Yeah, and then these are the ones that you have been doing, which is cool. It's like a person inside your body driving you. The pilot here.
The pilot one's a fun one. There's an action figure one. Yeah, there's just a little fun stuff.
Yeah, more about that waifu stuff going on. But
yeah,
love it. Anyway, man, thank you so much for hopping on today, man. Honored to have you Chamba.
Thank
So
you.
folks, check out all of Chamba's stuff. And I guess one more time, we kind of just said it, but what do you want to drive people towards as we sort of wrap up?
Just go to my if you want to follow me directly, just follow me. That's where I post daily, you know, in the stories or in just regular uploads, images. But also join the ToyMigos Discord if you want.
Yes.
There's a lot of news that goes up there. There's a bunch of channels. We post up links for items as well, ones that like trusted links that we would actually buy from, because I know a lot of the times people like have you bought from there before? It's like, I'm not going to share a link personally that I've not used before, because I don't want to direct anyone astray and whatnot. So yeah,
absolutely. It's a great community. Folks are like super cool. There's people, even if you just want to chat with folks, they'll do late night and chats, but otherwise
voice chats all the time.
Yeah, you can be a Hushmigo and lurk and just see what people are posting. I just dropped that in the chat for you to join. Awesome. That's great. Thanks for pushing that. That's right. Okay, man. Well, thank you very much. I'll let you get on with your Monday because you're supposed to be drawing.
Yes, so, I should be working.
You have a good break. Sorry, I'll have a good break. Not to rub
Enjoy your
break.
Have
a great week. It's my spring break, folks. You have a good week. I'll have a good break, and then we'll see each other, I guess, tomorrow night. And I'll be in the chat for ChatMigos. All right, folks. Thank you all so much. Everybody have a good time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Be good to yourselves.